Good afternoon, my dear boys and girls. I'm an English teacher. My name is Farida Gazimovna. Today I'd like to tell you a story about Tsaritsino Museum Reserve. It's in the southern part of Moscow. It's a unique historical, natural, and architectural ensemble. Muscovites have considered Tsaritsino to be one of the best spots to enjoy a countryside walk thanks to its ancient landscape park. There is a network of roads, paths, and historical avenues, some of which were laid out in the middle of the 18th century. Tsaritsino Landscape Park began to take shape back in 1775. When Vasily Bazhenov started the construction, he also took care of the park by inviting English gardeners. The palace and park ensemble was founded in 1775 by the order of Empress Catherine the Great. The Godunovs, the Streshnevs, the Golitsins, and the Kantemyrs lived there. The history of the palace is extraordinary. Catherine the Great ordered the famous court architect Vasily Bazhenov to build a palace in Gothic style. Originally, Bazhenov's ensemble consisted of 17 buildings. When the palace was almost complete, the Empress visited Tsaritsino to inspect it. She declared the rooms to be too cramped and dark and ordered the palace to be rebuilt. Then she invited Bazhenov's student Matvey Kazakov to build a new palace. She liked his project. Kazakov began his work in 1786. His construction was interrupted with Catherine the Great's death. The Empress never lived in Tsaritsino Palace. The complex begins with a majestic figured bridge. It seems like a fortress gate. As you go up the bridge, you will find yourself in the central space in front of the Grand Palace with the bread house and 3 courtiers' quarters. The Grand Palace is a 3-storied building that consists of square side structures. They are connected with galleries. The Grand Palace is Matvey Kazakov's creation. Kazakov erected a new palace with a tall central gallery, a symbol of the greatness and the might of the Russian Empress. By 1796, the Grand Palace was almost completed. Only the roof was temporary, without decorative elements. The walls were already being painted when Catherine II suddenly died. All the works in Tsaritsino were stopped. Other buildings belong to Vasily Bazhenov. One of them is a small palace. The small palace is the smallest of all palace buildings designed by architect Vasily Bazhenov. He also called it the 4th house and small building. Together with grand and middle palaces, it was intended personally to Catherine II. There are only 6 small rooms inside, including an oval hall. Bazhenov built the small palace on top of a picturesque hill above the Tsaritsino pond. The small palace looked like the natural crest of the hill, repeating its shape. The Opera House, Middle Palace, is one of the most interesting buildings in Tsaritsino with sophisticated decorations. The Middle Palace was intended for Catherine II to hold small official receptions and ceremonies, theater performances, and other court amusements. The surviving plans of the palace show that its main part was occupied by a huge hall with a vaulted ceiling and magnificent acoustics. The palace is crowned with an arcade decorated with symbols of the sun and the moon. Other buildings belong to Vasily Bazhenov. One of them is the Bread House. Bread House is the largest building of Tsaritsino, meant to serve as the kitchens of Catherine the Great. Officially, It was designated as the kitchens, but imperial servants called it the bread house. Bajenov didn't manage to complete the bread house because Catherine II criticized his work and fired him. There are three cavalry buildings near Tsaritsyn Palace. First cavalry is an L-shaped building with three rooms connected into a suite, a central one in the corner and two adjoining rooms on the side. Second cavalry building is a small one-story octagonal pavilion. According to the original general plan, one of the buildings was designated as a house for waitresses. Third cavalry building is one of the smaller buildings of the palace complex. Third cavalry building stands on a picturesque hill near the middle Tsaritsyn Pond. Figured Bridge was built in 1776-78 by architect Vasily Bajenov. He gave the bridge a look of a fortress for adding high towers with lancet openings. He named the bridge ornate or figured due to fanciful decor. Here we can see intertwined red brick and white stones specific to all Tsaritsyn buildings, as well as carved cornice and diamond-shaped decor, columns and pyramids. The bridge is located on a steep hillside and is designed to hide the palace from the guest's view. But once you go under the bridge, you can see all the buildings at once. No significant changes had been made here for over 200 years. The bridge is surprisingly well preserved. The second gate is named Grape. The Big Bridge. The Big Bridge is one of the main Tsaritsyn structures. It was built in 1778 and 1784 as the starting point to the palatial part of the estate, according to the architect Vasily Bajenov's plan. The ceremonial 80-meter bridge is considered to be the largest of all the remaining 18th century bridges. It's considered an outstanding masterpiece of Russian bridge construction. The bridge is richly decorated. The arches resemble the portals of Gothic cathedrals. Red brickwork is decorated with white stone geometric patterns. The sides of the bridge were completed under the guidance of architect Ivan Yegotov, Bajenov's student. Now about pavilions. Milovida Pavilion is one of the finest Tsaritsyn Park buildings of the beginning of the 19th century. It was built in 1803-1804 by architect Ivan Yegotov, Vasily Bajenov's student. The pavilion is located in the most picturesque part of Tsaritsyn Park. In the 1800s, it provided a magnificent view of Upper Tsaritsyn Pond with an artificial island. The pavilion is a walk-through arched gallery with 4 small corner rooms, cabinets for visitors to relax in. Nerostankino Pavilion, Melancholy Temple, is a small gallery with walk-through passage and a low dome. The building was built in 1803 by architect Ivan Yegotov in just a few months. Ruin Tower is the most romantic building in Tsaritsyn. It's a medieval tower with adjoining wall sections made of brick and white stone. The tower was designed by the architect Ivan Yegotov in 1804. In the late 18th, early 19th century, artificial ruins were quite fashionable. Now about fontaine. With the beginning of the summer season, the light musical fontaine will start to work at the museum, one of the most popular places in Moscow. Tsaritsino visitors will witness a fantastic show. More than 800 jets of fontaine dance to the music, rising up to 15 meters. In the evenings, more than 3,000 underwater lights are lit by water jets, turning the fontaine into real light and music performance. Now about the poems of Inna Zaslavskaya. I like it very much. Мой друг, пойдем в Царицыно гулять. Там нынче пасторальная отрада. Деревьев свежевысаженных рать построена для первого парада. Клубится малахитовая даль за гребнем новоявленной плотины. Покачивая выводок утиный, блестит воды веселая эмаль. Отточен каждый сахарный зубец резных мостов дворцового предела. А вот и он, воистину дворец, наряженный на праздник новодела. Он сам в смущении от красот таких, размашистых, московских, видом новым, любуются Баженов с Казаковым или скорбят. Но кто услышит их? Кто разглядит сиятельный укор на мраморном челе Екатерины, когда вокруг зеленые куртины и цветников немысленный узор, когда ожили, отряхнули сплин, каскады, павильоны и аллеи? Но кто теперь, скажи мне, сожалеет о подлинности давешних руин? И нам ли копья ржавые ломать? Что лучше, новизна или разорение? Какое золотое воскресенье! Пойдем, мой друг, в Царицыно гулять. So, I invite you to come to Tsaritsino Park and enjoy it. It's a very beautiful palace. It's a very beautiful place.